a spy isn't as glamorous as I thought. But it isn't dull.
Hello, everybody.
Hey, chat.
Hello. Yes. Hello, Ninja Toe. Hello, Chengus. Good to see you guys.
Welcome, welcome.
Yes. Welcome to another edition of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And Daniel, you have some sort of comic book? I was unaware.
Yes. Actually, I have two comic books.
Oh, that's more than one comic book.
Yeah. But yes, Angels Awakening, Second Chance campaign in demand on Indiegogo, and as well as the mailing list for Guardian Angel. Links are in the description down below.
Yes. And I actually have something to announce. I don't quite have it up yet, but my next novel, Champion of the Orca Princess, does start posting on the free websites probably tomorrow, maybe Saturday. Depends on how busy I am. And so, yeah, that'll be free. I'll post the link around and I'll show it a little more thoroughly next time.
Yes. And I believe also on if you want to see some of the early chapters, you can find those on DB's Patreon.
Yes, a bunch of the early chapters on there are free. And I had a knock at the door, so Daniel, let's go ahead and tell us about your thing of the week, and I'll be right back.
Yes, my thing of the week was season 1 of My Hero Academia. I finally got into this show. I've been reading a little bit of the manga, and so one of the things I did was I re-upped my Crunchyroll subscription and started watching this, and I'm enjoying it. It's a fun little show. Well, not little. it's a very popular show, but yeah, I'm liking it so far. You know, like seeing the early adventures of young Midoriya trying to harness his new power that he's getting from the what is he, the symbol of peace and justice.
Yeah,
All
don't worry,
Might.
Daniel, I am here.
Okay. But yeah, this is it's been pretty fun show so far. I kind of knew what happened in the first season because I read the manga.
Right. Well, and you also read that spin-off manga, so.
Right. Yeah. But
what? Midoriya gets powers?
What? Midoriya has pet? What? He yeah.
He ate that hair? Why was it kind of curly? Don't ask questions.
Don't ask questions.
I don't want the answer to.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I kind of like about the new Shonen Jump. Like, Demon Slayer is only like 21 volumes long. My Hero Academia is longer, but it has it's ending on its own terms, and it isn't like the old days with like Bleach and Dragon Ball, where it'd be like, "Hey, you want to keep going so our magazine doesn't doesn't collapse?"
Yeah. I guess so. But yeah, this is I will say I did watch the dub because usually with anime, the first time I watch it, I like to watch the dub first so that I kind of know what's going on, and then on a rewatch watch it subtitled.
It's got a good dub.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and the guy playing All Might, that's exactly how I pictured him sounding like. I am All Might.
What's great is that's voice. That's Chris Sabat, who also voices Vegeta over in Dragon Ball. So the guy has range.
Yes, And I will say, well, I probably shouldn't bring it up, but yeah, with the whole Vic thing,
But by
like
here,
he,
yeah,
but
anime
yeah,
dubs. I very much have to separate the art from the artists because,
yeah. Although
like,
I will say, yeah, I will say though, with that, at least he was honest about his feelings about Vic, unlike
yeah,
some of the
that's
other
true.
voice actors. I mean, he
Uh,
was actually honest about how he felt. But anyway, but yeah, this is it's yeah, it's a fun show. I'm gonna get into season 2 right now, and yeah, definitely recommend it.
yeah, my little bit of sadness is that you know who my favorite voice actress is in all of anime dubbing?
Oh, Jamie Markey.
Monica Rial.
Oh, that was my second guess.
So yeah, that I definitely have to separate behavior and artist because she's Sue the Frog Girl. She's like so perfect as Sue the Frog Girl.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. That's yeah.
Yeah, I also have to separate the art from the artist like Chris Sabat, and basically all of them. It's like
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, basically all of them. Yeah,
look,
yeah.
I can either deal with Goku sounding like an 80-year-old woman, which literally that's what Goku is voiced by at this point, or I have
Oh,
to separate the art from the artist. I don't want. I have my choices, man.
yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah. Uh, yeah. All right.
So,
Well, on to DB's thing of the week.
yes, my thing of the week is Clone High, an old sitcom from MTV, which actually I. So funny story about this. I've never actually sat down to watch it. I've seen little clips over the years. In high school, a friend of mine described it to me, and I thought he had made up the concept.
Mm.
Because we talk about ridiculous things, and the idea of high school full of clones of famous people from the past, like getting into ridiculous antics, like, oh yeah, Abe Lincoln is the normal one who's trying to get with Cleopatra, the jock girl, and JFK is the hot jock, and Joan of Arc is secretly pining for Abe Lincoln, and and Gandhi is the crazy kid with ADHD. Yeah.
Wow.
It's currently streaming on Paramount Plus, which I decided to sign up for at the $5 a month thing just to
Mm.
watch this and a couple other shows I was curious about from the past. And yeah, it's now the art style may look vaguely familiar to you if you are familiar with older Disney Channel shows, because people who did this, as far as I'm aware, mainly did two other series. One of them was, of course, the way more than 6 episodes long show Clerks, the animated series. But a little indie project you may have heard of called Kim Possible.
Oh, Kim Possible. Yes. Yeah.
They Joan of Arc is even voiced by the same voice actress as Shigo, so I'm sure that that's this is why I'm sure that Clone High is why they got her.
Ooh. Nothing bad happens to.
And then he proceeds to crash right away.
Yeah.
Nothing bad happens to the Kennedys. Or you don't understand, Abe. I'm a Kennedy. We're not used to tragedy.
Oh wow.
Uh,
We're feeling nostalgic for high school.
more I wanted to pick. More I was catching up on things that I had just never gotten into for whatever reason. The other one I
Yes.
tried a few episodes of was Sonic the Saturday morning cartoon, which on the one hand is like, okay, this is actually well written. I see why it was beloved. I also see why Sally Acorn was the beginning of many people's furry fetish. So,
Ah.
but there was an episode that was about her kissing tails. Like
Oh.
that sounds weirder than it actually is. It's like a big sister little brother thing because they write Tails like he's like 5 in that show.
Ah. Okay.
So it's like so yeah, it's not like creepy.
Well, okay.
It's just kind of cute. But anyways, back to
Yeah.
Clone High. It's absolutely absurd. There's an episode where Gandhi is diagnosed with ADHD, and and everyone treats him like he has the plague. Like, is it catching? It's like and Abe is like Gandhi, you're my friend, and I want to be there for you, but I also don't want to touch you. because, because and they actually bring in Tom Green to have a talk about ADHD, and it's like pretty funny as he's having these random, like, he's in the middle of trying to give this speech. ADHD is an affliction of squirrel. But
jeez.
and like another occasion, Gandhi tries on Joan of Arc's retainer, and it bends the wire, and she starts hearing a Christian rock station. But she's like, "The voices! God is finally talking to me." What is it, God? Yes, yes. And we need to get the best bargain done at Bob's Cleaners. So it's a strong recommend. I'm not done with it yet. There's only 13 episodes. I'm about halfway in, but it's just like I realize it's the type of absurd comedy that I miss a lot of the time.
That sounds like something up my alley too, and obviously a show that they couldn't make today.
Right, or they would find a way to make it not as much fun.
Oh yeah, that too.
Unless it was being made under Zaslav's Warner Brothers, and he thought he could make him more money by being edgy. We'll get into that.
Yes.
Yeah. But first, on a serious note, we lost a few celebrities this week, but the one has the most touching, or that touches on nerd communities the most, is unfortunately Nichelle Nichols.
Nichelle Nichols, yes. Yes, she passed away on Monday. And I think she'd been in ill health for a couple of years now, so not entirely surprising. But yeah, like I grew up watching Star Trek, and it's she was definitely a part. She and the rest of the show were a part of my childhood, and it was and one of the things that a lot of people will obviously point to is the fact that she was a black woman on a major television series, which back in the mid to late 1960s, you didn't really see that much.
Right. I heard somebody telling a story about how some NASA scientist, when she saw Uhura on Star Trek, rushed into the room, "Mommy, there's a black girl on TV and she isn't a maid."
Yeah. yeah, and so but and not only that, but she was also like her character, like the character of Uhura was. I mean, a lot of people would say she was a glorified secretary, but I mean, she had plenty to do on the show. I mean, she could hold her own, and that was something that I know. I know Gene Roddenberry was that was a priority of his with the show, was showing how in the future humans had moved on from judging people by their skin color, and it's about who they are, and that was something that uh, a very important life lesson instilled on me at a very young age. And because for me, I mean, it didn't matter to me that Uhura was black.
Right. And like Star Trek was a bigger part of your childhood than mine. I was more of a Star Wars kid, and I caught the occasional episode of Next Generation because that's what was available when I was younger. And it never occurred to me until much later how important Uhura was, because I lived in the world that she had helped shape.
Yes, and it's she will be missed, as with the other cast from the original series that we've lost over the years.
Yep.
Which it's kind of hard to believe. It's Shatner, Walter Koenig, and George Takei.
I've heard more than one people say this. We speculated this last week, that Takei and Shatner are in a death race, and like neither one is willing to die until the other one dies first.
Yes. Yeah.
Because they don't want to let the other man have the last word on them.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, I will say, like, there was a one moment with Uhura that I remember Nichelle Nichols hated this one thing when she it was in Star Trek 6.
God, I know the moment. Oh no, I'm thinking. Sorry, I was thinking of Star Trek Five with that infamous fan dance scene.
Oh well, yeah, there was that. Yeah,
I was like, things she would hate. What would she hate? No, okay. What are you talking about from Star
yeah.
Trek Six?
Well. Actually, interesting thing with that scene, she wanted to sing
Huh?
because she did sing. She did sing in one episode. I think she was actually a very good singer. And I think I remember her singing at least one episode of the show, but she wanted to sing in the movies too. But it was when is in Star Trek 6 when they're going into the Klingon space to rescue Kirk and McCoy,
Hmm.
and they're getting transmissions from the this Klingon communications, and they're talking to them in Klingon, and they're looking through all the books and trying to translate the Klingon, and Uhura's just kind of like fumbling her way through it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. She hated that scene, and I don't blame her because it made Uhura look incompetent.
Right.
Because like a communications officer, and I'm convinced that's why, like in Enterprise with Hoshi Sato, the communications officer, and then when they did the Abrams reboot with Uhura, they made them linguists. They could speak
Mhm.
multiple languages.
Right.
And I think that's why they did that, because they had that scene in there, and Nichelle Nichols hated that scene, and there's actually, like, at the end of it, like, they're pretending to laugh like Klingons, and she's like, ah ha ha ha, and she's like, I don't think she was acting when she just stopped, like, okay.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
She had a good run. Again,
Yes.
the surprising thing isn't that we've lost so many members of that crew. It's that we still have anybody left in the year 2022, and so we should cherish them.
Yes, exactly.
By cherish them, I mean don't bother them on Twitter. You're
Yes.
literally killing them moment by moment.
Yes. Yeah. Just, yeah. Leave them be. Yeah. All right.
Speaking of things that have been left be,
Mhm.
my transition game is still high.
Yes.
DC League of Super Pets. Boy, did that thing eat it.
Yeah.
On a $90 million budget and relentless advertising. I've been seeing trailers for that thing since like January. I
Mm.
swear. Uh, and it made 23 million domestically. And it hasn't exactly had legs. It's made less than 10 million over the course of the last week. In a
Mm.
time when, like I can understand a kids movie not having the biggest box office opening, but it's like,
Mhm.
because like, okay, the parents might not want to go out on their Friday or Saturday night, but mom who needs something to put the kids in front of might take them during the week, right?
Right. Yeah.
Well, judging by this, she took them to go see Minions again instead.
Yeah.
And somebody's still going to, a couple people are still trundling into Lightyear. 270,000. Not okay. That's pretty awful.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, and it did drop on Disney Plus yesterday.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Well, this is from last weekend though, but it,
Okay.
it's going to be interesting to see how that actually does on there, because well,
Yeah.
we'll put a
Oof.
we're going to put a pin in Lightyear for a minute because it's actually going to be relevant to what we're talking about here.
Mhm.
But like DC League of Super Pets, in my opinion, now I watched Ethan Van Sciver's review of it. He is the only person I've seen actually review it, which is the problem there.
Yeah.
Um, and his little girl who's autistic was obsessed and wanted to go see it. She was going to be seeing it opening day at some point. Like she was
Mhm.
obsessed. It's like there's definitely a market for cute super pets, right?
Yes.
It's just that I don't think that, how to put it. I think the last time there was actually a major Super Pets comic book was literally the 70s or 80s.
Mm.
The last time they did something with the Super Pets, they had a Crypto the Super Dog cartoon in the 2000s that was for babies.
Oh, jeez.
Uh, And it wasn't like bad for what it was. I was bored in college a few days. And like, oh, DC related thing. Yeah, this is kind of dull, but it was kind of amusing because they had a more typical Ace the Bat Hound who was like a Type A personality, where Crypto was laid back
Mm.
because he had his superpowers. Actually, very similar to Damien and Jonathan Wayne's interactions in Super Sons. Now that I think about it,
Jeez.
because it's a good combination. And
Yeah.
it's like, was there demand for this? No. I think this was just somebody behind the scenes was trying to come up with DC things they could do, and they're just throwing spaghetti at the wall.
Yeah. Well, then they're obviously trying to tap into the whatever 5 to or 4 to 9 demographic.
Right.
Yeah.
My biggest takeaway I had from those trailers was that, okay, Crypto's a Kryptonian dog. He's super strong and invincible. Why does he keep using poor uh,
Oh.
Kevin Hart's character as a shield? Because like he got superpowers and is invincible.
Hmm.
But it's like it sounds like I'll probably watch it on HBO Max at some point because it sounds cute and fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or maybe I'll go like surprise my dad and say, "Hey, want to go see this during the day sometime next week?" But it's like it's not must see movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Anytime you have like a superhero spin-off type thing, it's always a risk, I think, because you have the superheroes like indirectly involved, but they're not really involved in the story. So it's just kind of like, well, I want to watch an animated movie with Superman and Batman, and not necessarily about their pets.
And then it's like it's like a monkey's paw wish. I wish for an animated movie with Superman in it. Haha! But you didn't say it was about Superman. I
Ah,
found the loophole, says the asshole genie.
yes.
But yeah,
Yeah.
honestly, like a $90 million budget was too much for it. If they put $10 million into it and put it on HBO Max, I think this would have been a very different conversation.
Yes. Yes, it would.
It would have been like, oh, that's a cute thing. Maybe I'll get HBO Max for a month to have my kids watch that.
Yeah.
Not that I have kids, but I'm talking like as a hypothetical parent.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, D Rhino, good to see you.
Hey, D Rhino, you're just in time to you enjoy a little bit of Schadenfreude.
Yes.
Now you might be wondering, well, if people didn't go to that, what did they go to see? Top Gun Maverick refuses to leave the top 5. It came out at the end of May. It refuses to leave the top 5. It
Yes.
finally had its first weekend where it was under $10 million. Finally.
Man.
It has now surpassed The Last Jedi and what was it? It's actually we can actually look at all-time box office, all-time domestic box office. It is now number 8. It has knocked off Jurassic World, The Avengers, and The Last Jedi, and Incredibles 2.
Wow.
Next up is Titanic, and it's 100,000. Oh, no, it's like 5 million away. It's making it.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I should mention this is not inflation adjusted. So
Right,
if we were
yeah.
to actually go inflation adjusted, this list would look very different.
Yes, it would. Yeah, you would. Yes, you would see Gone with the Wind up at the top.
Yep, and original Star Wars.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a bit like the Energizer Bunny. It keeps going and going and going and going.
Praise Zeno. He has clearly smiled upon this movie.
Yes.
As for the rest of the box office, it's basically movies we've been seeing. Nope dropped about 60%. So is it doing as well as his other movies? Nope.
Nope. Unintended.
Pun very much intended.
Yeah.
Is it? It was more expensive than his other movies. It hasn't really come out internationally, which is where it's going to have a shot at being profitable.
Mhm.
But the thing with releasing a movie is that you can't just look at the production budget and compare it to the domestic box office. You get maybe half of what you have there in the domestic box office, and you combine that with you get maybe you might have to double a budget like that to market it internationally.
Yeah.
So it's an expensive process,
Yeah.
which Unless you have any other observations about the box office.
Well, Chinggis says there's Top Gun Maverick is pretty good. Deserves its success.
I keep
I,
meaning to see it, but I've never actually seen the original Top Gun, to my embarrassment.
Yeah, I haven't. Well, I haven't seen the original Top Gun since I was in college. But yeah, I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick either. So
And
yeah, it's
maybe I'll make that my homework project for the weekend is to catch both of those movies at some point for the next podcast.
yeah. I should probably go back and rewatch the original Top Gun again. Yeah,
And yeah, I have nothing against Nope. Just
yeah.
a friend of mine just Skyped me, and Jimmy, if you wanted to, you could get a YouTube account and and be in the live stream with us.
Yeah.
But he said, "Oh, now with the success of Top Gun Maverick, we should get Hot Shots Part Trace," and I'd be down for that.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean,
Hopefully, yeah. Maybe
Mr. Tiger Blood is still alive somehow, so why not?
Yeah. If he's up for it, I mean, if he's healthy enough to do it, yeah.
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 But yeah, I think that the lesson here is that movies that are just kind of cast-offs that like I would have to go back and look at the Comicron numbers because they have some really good numbers going a long way back. I would bet dollars to donuts that the last like major if the Super Pets weren't a backup back in old Superman family stuff and they had their own comic, I doubt they had even like a quarter of Superman's distribution, if
Yeah.
that.
Mm.
So this was always like a niche thing. They just put too much money behind it. But thankfully, it wasn't 200 million like every single Disney thing that they put that is too niche, and they don't realize it till it's too late.
Yeah.
But so man, if only some smart person had figured out before they'd waste all that money on advertising and finishing up the movie, and what if they just pulled the plug?
Yeah.
What kind of genius entrepreneur CEO type would possibly do that? Oh, David Zaslav. That's what.
Yes, and we come to the meat of the show.
Yes. I did something I don't do very often. I watched, actually, we watched at Valiant Renegade streaming the Discovery Warner Brothers quarterly report,
Mhm.
which had some interesting nuggets about the what they're doing with all the things that they own.
Yes, yeah, and obviously the big news of the week, Batgirl, the supposedly forthcoming, which was a forthcoming movie that was going to be on HBO Max,
Mhm.
uh, which now this movie was finished, wasn't it? Wasn't it
It,
done?
it was basically finished. There might have still needed to be some like effects work done.
Mm,
Uh, so yeah, so here's what happened. And there was a line that Zaslav said during the live stream that basically explains everything he was doing. Now, people may recall that last year, and let's see, was it just 2020 and 2021? Warner Brothers did what was called Project Popcorn. Project Popcorn was basically, hey, we know a lot of people are locked in, and we're trying to build our HBO Max streaming service. So if if we come out with a movie, same day and date, it's going to be on HBO Max
uh-huh.
because we want to get this as big an audience as possible. We want to build up HBO Max as much as possible. So I mean, I know I saw King Kong on there without buying a movie ticket. I saw Mortal Kombat on there without paying a movie ticket. Thank God.
Matrix, yeah,
I didn't waste my time on Matrix, but yeah, Matrix was put there. Wonder Woman 84 was put there.
yeah,
Um, Dune was put there, which probably hurt Dune's profitability quite a bit,
yeah.
especially because, like we've discussed in the past, basically, if AMC or whoever knows that your movie is going to streaming within weeks, they will shave a big chunk of what they're willing to pay you out of the ticket revenue. If they
Mhm.
know it's day and date, whoo boy,
Yeah.
they ream you. So
Oh
not
yeah.
only does the presence of it on HBO Max mean that people just buy the $15 a month subscription, then cancel it as soon as they're done watching the movie in the comfort of their own homes,
Mhm.
it means that you're getting less of that box office take.
Yes.
So, so with that context, Zaslav said that they are not out to destroy the box office anymore
Mhm.
because, and he correctly pointed this out. Well, it's like, hey, remember that Ryan Reynolds movie that they came out with on Netflix called The Adams Project or The Adam Project?
Yes.
Remember how nobody is, except for I'm probably the only person to mention it in August so far
Yeah.
when it came out just a few months back.
Yes.
Meanwhile, there are still people talking about The Last Jedi to this day periodically. There are still people talking about, in a positive example, people are still talking about Top Gun Maverick
Mhm.
months and months later. There's just like this prestige and excitement about it being in the box office that gives a movie some legitimacy that a straight to streaming movie can never have.
Yes, straight to streaming to me feels like straight to video.
Yes, exactly that.
Mhm.
Uh, Only it's even worse. 'Cause, like straight to video, you could walk into into a Blockbuster uh, or a Walmart, whatever, go to the DVD section, and it's there along with the others, and it has a chance of standing out to you and earning your direct money.
Mhm.
Streaming, it's okay. Welcome to the content pit.
Yeah.
Uh, Like I know this always happens to me and my family when we're all in the mood to actually watch something we personally want to watch. We have to debate other people. How often do you go through Netflix and realize you spent half an hour trying to find something to watch because there's just so much stuff?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
there is something to be said for old-fashioned television where it's like, okay, you want to watch The Simpsons? It's at 5 o'clock. If you miss it at 5 o'clock, hope you set your VCR.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Those were the days.
Yeah. The kids are wearing such baggy pants these days. Not like in my day when they wore baggy pants that because they were rappers.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And in my day, Coca-Colas were $1.25.
Yeah. Yeah. And movie tickets were like $3.
God, is that true? Actually, I have seen a movie in the last 10 years for like $3. I saw Looper at like a last run movie theater with some friends.
Okay.
Eh,
Yeah. I remember when I was like, well, yeah, like when I was a kid. I mean, it would be like, $3-4 for a matinee.
Now, not so much.
No, not so much. But yeah, but yeah, so obviously Warner Zaslav's making a lot of changes at Warner Brothers. He's uh, you know, I would say trimming some fat,
Right.
and part of that fat was of course Batgirl. Um,
Yep.
and this is just to give some people some perspective. I don't I can rarely ever, if ever, think of a movie that just like they just flat out said, yeah, we know we've made this, we've already finished this movie, but we're not going to release it.
Eh, Yeah, so here's actually an example of a movie that had something similar happen to it. Paws of Fury, another kids animal themed movie that came out and bombed.
Mm,
This was actually completed many years ago, and it's just been sitting on a shelf until someone decided to bite the bullet and take the financial loss.
yeah, yeah. It doesn't. Yeah, most of the time with movies, like they'll get shelved, but eventually released. Like a lot of people probably don't know this, but the first Bill and Ted movie,
Hmm.
I think that came out in like '88 or '89, but they filmed that movie in like 2 years before.
Really?
Yeah, and it's sat on the shelf for, yeah, for like 2 years until they finally released it.
Huh.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the stock market to an extent. Like if you buy shares of Microsoft at $500 or $300 a share and it drops to 250, you haven't actually lost the $50 until you sell the share.
Hmm.
In much the same way, from like a Hollywood accounting voodoo perspective, yeah, Paws of Fury, you already spent the money, and every year it doesn't get released, you're probably paying some interest or whatever
Hmm.
on the money you borrowed for it. You haven't technically bombed until it comes out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and Ninja Toe brings this up. At least Leslie was very respectful and thankful in her statement. Yeah, that's Leslie Grace, who's the actress who plays Batgirl. She was, yeah, I mean, yeah, she wasn't, like, "Arr." No, she was, she was very, yeah, like Ninja Toe said, very, very respectful in her,
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
yeah,
I will admit that I applied my negative Twitter filter, and when I saw Leslie Grace responds to movie being canceled, like I don't want to read that. That's just going to be somebody screaming at. No, she's actually acting like a professional who wants to have work again in the future.
yes, yeah. And Warner, and I will say Warner Brothers has promised both her and the directors of the movie that they will hire them for another project at some point.
Right. It really sounds like they weren't the problem.
Right. Oh, Bill and Ted's release was delayed because they didn't want to compete with. Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
There have been a couple of movies that have come out recently that were filmed way in advance. There was something like The Time Traveler's Wife or Time Traveler's, what was that called? It came out in January, where it had actually been filmed in like 2014. They finally just threw it out there to just accept the loss. I don't think it broke 10 million at the box office worldwide.
Oh yeah,
So,
but
but it's unusual for them to just decide not to release it altogether.
yes, yeah. And DB and I we were talking about this before the show. It's a bit like the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie where they made the movie but and just never released it.
Yep. Eh, And in both cases, it was to preserve a brand, but for different reasons. The Roger Corman Fantastic Four was because I think it was Canon had the right to Fantastic Four at the time, and
Yeah.
if they had sat on the rights for too long, and if they didn't come out with a movie of a certain budget, they were going to lose the rights back to Marvel. So they had Roger Corman, who was famous for never losing money on any movie he ever made because he was so cheap.
Yes.
And he was very good at finding people at the start of their careers before they were expensive, like James Cameron.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, they had him throw together this slapdash Fantastic Four movie to keep the rights.
Hmm.
This is almost like the opposite thing, where Batgirl, they're caught in an awkward position with it. It was like a $70 million movie. The New York Post reports that their sources said it had cost more like 100 million so far, but official budget is 70 million, and it was too cheap and chintzy looking for. It basically had the look and feel of a WB show from the sounds of it, or of a CW show from the sounds of it.
Ooh.
Uh,
Yeah.
uh, Combined with so it's like, okay, do we reshoot it to try to elevate it to the level of it being movie theater worthy, because we're not going to make any money off of it if we put it on HBO Max. But apparently it was also irredeemably bad was the word that I keep seeing in the headlines.
Yeah.
Although I've heard mixed things. Some people said that it actually tested better than Black Adam or the new Shazam movie with audiences. Which, if The Rock manages to bomb two different DC properties in 1 year, that'll be
Yeah.
impressive. Because
Yeah.
he was the voice of Crypto in Super Pets.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
And if Shazam underperforms and he's in it at all too, then that means the Rock will have gotten into 3 DC bombs in 1 year, which would mean that he gets his free Sunday.
Yeah. Oh. Ooh.
But
Oh man.
the other thing about this Batgirl thing is that it's confusing. It's
Mhm.
it fit a vision of Warner Brothers scramble to pick up the pieces after they decided they didn't like the Snyderverse. That a very particular vision that they called the Hamadaverse. That it was going to set up a lot of things,
Mhm.
uh, or I should say, it relied on the Flash to set things up, and that itself has been an Ezra Miller induced nonsense tornado.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and well, the other thing too was that movie is supposed to set up Michael Keaton's return as Batman, his Batman,
Yep.
and what happened was like I guess the Flash was supposed to come out before Aquaman 2, but
Hmm.
then they reversed it, and Michael Keaton was in Aquaman 2, and people were like, why is he in Aquaman 2 as Batman? And so
Test
they
audiences were confused.
yes, test audiences were confused, so they're now reshooting those scenes with Ben Affleck as
Yes.
Batman.
Which means that if they redo the Flash to a certain extent, we may never get to see Michael Keaton Batman outside of eventual leaks that will happen.
Hmm. Or fingers crossed, a live action Batman Beyond.
Yeah, like why you would. I'd actually heard that the Batgirl movie was supposed to be like Batman Beyond, but apparently not.
Mm,
Also, weird thing is like, so Batgirl, I think she's supposed to be Barbara Gordon, which would mean that it would make sense, since the actress herself is black, it would make sense to have it be tied into
Batman.
the Batman.
Yeah.
But instead, it was the J.K. Simmons version of Commissioner Gordon from the Snyderverse.
Well, well, she could be mixed race, and her
Or
mom
adopted,
is,
or
yeah,
but
or adopted. Yeah,
still, it's strange. It's
yeah,
the lesson I've learned watching how people respond to fiction is you put as few blocks with between them and understanding what the story is actually about until they actually sit down to watch it.
yeah.
Like I still remember Super Bowl 2016. We're sitting there and they had the first commercial for Batman v Superman, and my grandmother going, "I thought Batman and Superman were supposed to be heroes. Why are they fighting each other?"
That was a great Super Bowl, by the way.
Let's hear what were the Seahawks in that one, or was
No,
that?
it was the Denver Broncos and the Carolina Panthers.
That's right. Didn't the who won that?
Broncos.
Okay,
Broncos won. Sorry, I'm lifelong Denver Broncos fan. So yeah,
gotcha.
and and give me that, because ever since then they've been trash.
So I'm kind of in the same boat with the Seahawks.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for Russell Wilson, by the way.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I was always more of a baseball guy now. But
Okay.
of course, now we're on year, what, 23 of the rebuilding seasons after,
Oh,
or year 21 of the rebuilding seasons after they got to the playoffs in 2001.
oh, yeah, they won like 120 games or something like
Yeah,
that.
like they tied the world or the league record and then ate it in in the playoffs and then
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, yeah. But anyway, back to
yes, but
movies.
yes. So lots of stuff got canceled. Batgirl got canceled. Wonder Twins was supposed to be a smaller DC exclusive for HBO Max.
Wonder Twin powers activate.
It nearly entered production but was canceled back in May.
Ah,
Uh,
ooh,
we'll talk about Supergirl in a minute.
yeah, Supergirl.
Um, so that wasn't canceled. J.J. Abrams has basically been vaporware over at DC
Oh yeah.
because they announced a deal with him in 2019. What J.J. Abrams uh, led DC project has actually gotten a firm release date? None. That's
None.
how many.
Yeah.
They keep threatening us with Black Superman here. Wow. Well, it's like I didn't even read this particular slideshow in advance, but it's doing things in the order I want it to. So thank you.
Yeah.
But there's been no talk of that. It may have actually gotten shelved.
Hmm.
Green Lantern series that could there's not yeah there's been a little update on the series since Irvine's casting in May 2021. Probably not going to happen because why would you make a Green Lantern HBO Max series before you have a successful Green Lantern movie?
Yeah, and and I'm sure people at DC are just dying to write those royalty checks to Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah. um, they've gutted the
Gutted.
CW.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Although this one managed to slip through the cracks, but it was already like that one was far enough along. You might as well put it out. Blue Beetle,
Cool, yeah.
from everything I've heard, has not been affected by this. It's
Okay.
because it's tied more into Shazam of all things.
Is this
He's
Jaime
not dead.
Ramos.
Yeah, it's
Or,
just Jaime Ramos.
okay, yeah.
So it's like, yeah, like Jaime Ramos is almost like the closest that DC has to a teen Spider-Man character when you think about it.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So I have no problem with this movie existing.
I don't either. Yeah, it could. I think that could be a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and of course we've got the Flash, which, man, if Ezra had just taken some chill pills and not gone off the deep end,
Yeah,
it's again like I have this I have this bad feeling that we're going to find out that there's a dead body involved somewhere with that guy.
oh yeah, yeah,
It seems to keep happening.
yeah.
But so we talked about like what's been affected, but okay, why pull the plug?
Oh yeah.
So first off, budget. Okay. So let's say that they did decide to pump another $100 million into this thing. Actually, let's be generous. Let's say they already spent like, it's time for our friend the calculator.
Yes.
The unofficial third host of Critique Corner.
Yes.
So let's go with that round $100 million figure. Let's be generous and say that it costs them another $30 million to reshoot, like to make it look more cinematic.
Yeah. So
We will then be exceptionally generous because we know that advertising campaigns are expensive. But let's say they decided to keep this one on the down low and go 70 million. That wouldn't like pay for a whole lot of advertising, but for a relatively modest superhero movie budget like 130 million would end up being,
mhm.
it's like that's not unreasonable. You just don't advertise it as hard.
Right.
And then you basically have to double it. So is a Batgirl thing without a strong Batman to anchor onto going to make $400 million worldwide?
Highly unlikely.
Right, considering that an actual Batman movie, numbers, our good old friend, thenumbers.com. Yeah, The Batman, featuring a Catwoman and an awesome Penguin and Batman, did not crack 800 million. And I would say that any Batgirl movie is basically lucky to make half of what a equivalently budgeted Batman movie made.
Mm-hmm.
Now that's interesting. This is listing the Batman's budget as 200 million, but I thought that it was much lower than that. I wonder if that is including advertising, because I heard it was like a 90 million movie. I could be mistaken, but
well, I could see that being a $200 million movie. I mean, it was it was pretty effective. There were effects heavy, and it was 3 hours long.
Yeah, you got to pay for all that Penguin makeup.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But anyway, it's not like the movie becomes magically less expensive because it's Batgirl rather than Batman. I mean, the actress is Leslie Grace is probably not going to advertise or command as much of a big budget or as much of a paycheck as Robert Pattinson, but it's not like he's 50 million to get him on the board either. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, and Batman was affected by HBO Max. Yeah,
right, because we just waited it out 45 days or 30 days or whatever it was, and reviewed it on the channel here without ever buying a movie ticket. So
yes,
I watched it twice for free because I sponged off my dad's HBO Max account. But so like there's a monetary reason you don't go with these movies. If you don't think they're going to actually make you money back, you don't throw good money after bad. You just call it a sunk cost and move on with your life. Because it's like if it's now again, I was being very generous. It could be $100 million to make that movie not look chintzy and cheap.
Yeah.
Are you better off putting $100 million into fixing the Flash and de-Ezrafying it, or are you better off trying to save Batgirl?
Yeah, you're probably better off giving it to the Flash and trying to salvage whatever is left of that. Yeah.
Also, it's time for the dreaded W word. word on the street was that it was like very. I'm not even going to say the W word. We all know the W word I'm thinking of.
Mhm.
Uh, it was apparently very activisty, which was
Mm.
going to which if I'm Zaslav, that there's a cottage industry of people making fun of DC movies on YouTube even more than there is for Marvel movies or Amazon, Lord of the Rings or things like that. People have been actively enjoying their missteps since 2016 when Batman v Superman came out.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and yeah, and releasing a movie like Batgirl, yeah, it would just be fodder
Right. Uh,
for all of
y-
them. Yeah.
I can just imagine the thumbnails for years to come. Woke Batgirl bombs again or whatever when it
Oh
comes
yeah.
like when they release the HBO Max streaming numbers or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say this: and part of me wonders if they're not playing like 4D, maybe playing a little 4D chess and saying, yeah, we're canceling Batgirl, we're not going to finish it, we're not going to release it, and then like there would just be like people like me who are like, well, now I kind of want to see it. I kind
Yeah,
of
like,
want to
how
watch it.
bad is it actually?
Yeah, yeah. How bad can this movie possibly be? It can't be.
It's
It can't be any worse than like Halle Berry's Catwoman.
right. Like imagine an alternate universe where the Star Wars holiday special was just kind of boring and average and wasn't cringe filled.
Yes,
Would people still be talking about it to this day?
I
No.
don't think so. No.
But there's also the problem of DC has kind of become known for bad movies.
Hmm.
Like people, like you talk with most people, it's like, yeah, Wonder Woman was good. I liked Aquaman, though I couldn't tell you anything about the plot. It was just kind of fun, ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um, People were like the people who bothered to go out and see the Suicide Squad enjoyed it. People who saw
Yeah.
the original The Less Suicide Squad enjoyed it at the time, but turned on it very quickly.
I didn't like it at all when I first saw it. But yeah.
Uh,
But
I liked
it,
it better
you
than
know,
Batman v Superman because it was ridiculous and played into that.
well, that's true. Yeah.
Although
But
God, they gave us Jared Leto Joker. Oh God.
yeah, 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 it did that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, Although thankfully most of his scenes ended up on the cutting room floor. So,
Yes.
but but yeah, but at the same time we've had Birds of Prey,
Wonder Woman 84.
Wonder Woman 84. Yeah.
Right. When you're trying to rebuild things, you don't. Oh yeah, and people liked the Joker, but that wasn't a DCEU movie at all.
No, it was its own separate thing, like the Batman. Yeah.
Right. And so you've got this scenario where that people like the characters. You put them in a good movie, and people will come out to watch it.
Hmm.
So, but you don't need a Batgirl movie that's going to be divisive and not make its money back to poison the brand a little bit. And you can
Yes.
definitely damage. A bad release can definitely damage things. For example, Lightyear. Lightyear is already going to Disney Plus.
Yes.
It was available for 47 days before it crawled onto Disney Plus. And of
Mm.
course, Screen Rant is shill media, so they're like, oh yeah, it could do much better on Disney Plus. Yeah, families are probably just not wanting, or probably just waiting it out.
Hmm.
Like, yeah, this isn't going to be an Encanto. I'm not the best at predictions, but I'm going to go ahead and throw that one out there that this doesn't have songs that people can get stuck in their head.
Yeah. Yeah. It's.
Please stop talking about Bruno.
Is Bruno the cat?
No, Bruno. It's an Encanto joke. You haven't
Oh,
seen
it's in Canada.
Encanto.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I have seen Encanto. Yeah,
I have not. So
yeah. Yeah. Holy Ninja points out the Batman was also affected by the HBO Max deal.
Mhm.
Yes, right. Again, like it's if I know I can go watch the movie right away, then I can wait a month.
Yes.
Especially for a 3-hour movie, or for a 3+ hour movie. I'm going to want to take a bathroom break at some point. I know me.
Yes, me too.
But like you don't always, it's not always fair what damages your brand. Like for example, Supergirl movie.
Mhm.
How many videos from I'm not gonna call it any names because people who have much larger viewerships than ours, who are much more entertaining than we are, but yeah, they know what they're doing. But how many screenshots of this particular actress in this particular costume have we seen with like a headline like woke SJW DCEU imminent or something like that?
Yeah, many.
Right.
Yes.
I don't even think that she looks bad in this costume. I think it's a perfectly fine costume.
Yeah, the costume isn't bad. I'm not digging the hair, but
Yeah. Yeah, it's yeah, I can see that. But
yeah.
like there's nothing wrong with this per se, but there's like this whole miasma around the DCEU at this point. Like
Mhm.
it's like the reputation that Sonic the Hedgehog has in video games, where it's like, oh, it's another 3D game. Get ready for it to be bad.
Mhm.
And before it even comes out, everyone's like, wow, I can't wait for this to be bad.
Yeah.
Uh, that's where DC finds itself. So canceling projects that will just tarnish the brand further is a great move.
Mhm.
Yeah, see, Ninja agrees with us.
Oh yeah. The costume looks fine. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like and like that's the tragedy is that they're wasting these actors' prime years.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know what we should have gotten from Ben Affleck? We shouldn't have gotten Batman v Superman. We should have gotten The Dark Knight Rises, or excuse me, The Dark Knight Returns.
Spider Returns. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Same with
we
me.
Henry Cavill. We have not gotten a really upbeat, good Superman movie from Henry Cavill,
We haven't gotten that Richard Donner esque Superman. Yeah.
which I think people are really hungry for at this point.
Mhm.
The closest we got to Richard Donner Superman was actually Shazam.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, and yeah, it's I agree with you there. Like it's they can't play superheroes for very long. It's
Mhm.
there's a very short you know shelf life. That you saw that with Robert Downey Jr. playing
Mhm.
Iron Man. He got to a point where he's like, yeah, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, now, uh, now the other thing is like, okay, so is it just the DC movies that are getting this treatment? No. So Paul Dini, of all people, apparently helped write this Scoob 2 movie, which I never saw Scoob.
I didn't either. Yeah, um, I think that was another one of those. It was one of those pandemic movies that they
Right.
just and then they dumped it on HBO
Put
Max.
on HBO Max and digital and everything.
Yeah.
And I heard it was all right, but it was like way too interested in setting up a Hanna-Barbera cinematic universe, is what I've heard.
Oh, that,
Uh,
that that actually wouldn't be too bad. I'd like to see like a you know something like that. Yeah.
yeah. Like this, Scoob 2 is apparently 95% done, and then they pulled the plug. And that isn't necessarily a bad option because it's like, well, we got to spend how much again to advertise it, and it was a movie that nobody really saw because of the accident of history of when they put it out and how they put it out.
Hmm.
Maybe if they'd held on to it until 2020, like late 2021 or early 2022, they could have had something. But
Yeah.
do over.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I want a good Superman movie too.
Right. And like I've gone on tirades with some of my friends about how that version of Superman does not feel right. Like the Man of Steel is not as bad as some people will make it out to be, but it's also not amazing.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a problem with him killing Zod because the scenario he was put into by the writers forced him to.
Hmm.
I would question why that scenario exists in the first Superman movie,
Yeah.
but like him doing that in that exact scenario makes sense.
Yeah.
Him while they're fighting with in the Snyder cut when they're fighting with what's his
Oh,
name,
Steppenwolf. Yeah.
Steppenwolf, where he
And he's
pins him
just
to the ground and he burns like the horn off of his head.
right. Yeah, and he's wailing on him too.
Yeah, like that did not
Yeah.
feel Superman to me.
No. No. Yeah, and uh, a lot of people pointed this out, and I agree. I don't think Zack Snyder really understands those characters very well.
Yeah, right. I mean, the thing with Zack Snyder is that I kind of so there was a story we didn't cover because it was when I was having to take a bunch of Thursdays off for various family reasons, um, and it was basically a hit piece out on him that painted him as basically a super villain who orchestrated the whole Snyder release the Snyder Cut movement with carefully placed bots and advertisements and things like that.
Oh,
And like they were judging like 13% of it was bots, which isn't very much, but it's.
yeah.
And when I heard about that, and I read through it and I saw a video about it, I was like, why do I want this to be true so badly? And it's just because at the end of the day, I hate those movies. Like
Yeah.
and like I had like a little tirade with some friends the other night when when I realized there were hints that they might be revising the Snyderverse. I could be generous with the Snyderverse when it was in the rearview mirror. It's like, okay, the Snyder Cut was perfectly fine, and he got to tell the story he wanted to tell. Maybe give him some animated movies on HBO Max to finish up the story.
Hmm. Yeah.
Things you can pump out for a reasonable budget. As soon as I realized that he might be back, like in any capacity, like there's rumors of new Snyder Justice League movies. I'm just like, no, no. If like,
So
like in all seriousness, if there is a movie that I hear that he is directing or like even is like a major consultant on, my wallet is officially closed.
yeah.
Like that's how done I am with Snyder's version of these characters. Like
Yeah.
bring back the actors all you like. I want Henry Cavill to get a hopeful Superman movie.
Yeah, I do too. And yeah, yeah, I don't necessarily have a problem with any of the actors' portrayals of the characters. Although I'm a little
Ezra.
wishy. Well, Ezra, yeah,
Yeah.
Ezra, but and I'm a little wishy washy about Ben Affleck. He's okay as Batman.
He's good for a particular iteration of Batman.
Yeah, yeah,
But I would say that I actually enjoyed Robert Pattinson's Batman more than him.
yeah, I did too. Yeah. Which surprised me because
Yes.
I'm not the biggest fan of Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, like I watched that movie twice and I went, "Holy crap! Is Robert Pattinson my favorite Batman in live action? I think he might be my favorite Batman in live action. How did that happen? Because he wasn't doing the ridiculous Christian Bale voice."
Right? Yeah, yeah. He played it really well. Yeah,
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that sequel.
yeah.
But
But yeah, too bad about Scooby Doo. Yeah,
yeah, I might go give Scoob a chance though. Like I'll
yeah.
admit that they had Velma in a Halloween costume as Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and that just kind of made me roll my eyes.
Oh yeah,
On the other hand, Velma would be the type of person to admire her, so it's like it's in character, I guess, but
yeah,
it's still like a little on the nose.
yeah. Just a little, but yeah, yeah. I would love to see a wacky racist movie.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Like I mean, yeah, actually, that would be really fun. That
Yeah,
because you could get together a bunch of stars and just make like animate it. You wouldn't have to 3D animate it. Like make it a nice 2D animated thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah.
so it's like okay, so Warner Brothers is canceling a bunch of stuff. What aren't they canceling?
Mm,
Well, and what they're doing is they're basically saying what I and others have been saying for years. Well, first off, they're considering their consolidation of their streaming plans into uh, they're going to combine Discovery and Warner Brothers at some point in 2023, or
mm.
actually the HBO Max with
Oh,
Discovery.
Discovery.
So that means you're going to have like reality TV and some CNN stuff, and they're revamping CNN to not just be advocacy. And that's the word they use is we don't want to be advocacy anymore, we just want to be news.
Mm.
But so that's another brand he's trying to fix. Oh, also, it's not impossible that he would cancel the Flash altogether because he already canceled CNN Plus, which was a bigger investment than any of the DC movies have been.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. How long did CNN Plus last? Like a week?
A couple of weeks,
Yeah,
like not long.
not yeah, yeah.
And apparently there's like a loophole in the contract where they bought them where if they cancel things within a certain window, they can take it off their books or they don't or they can write it off in a particular way.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So that's probably that probably explains why they're not trying to throw good money after bad or just releasing certain things.
Mm,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So my guess was that Scoob 2 probably wasn't panning out, just like this Supergirl movie that would be set up by the original Flashpoint movie isn't it wouldn't make sense anymore because they were reportedly going to have Supergirl, Batgirl, and Wonder Woman as their Trinity instead
Mm.
of and just to not have a Batman or a Superman.
Ooh.
which is why she became the face of woke SJW DCEU incoming for the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Because she would have been the face of the franchise,
Mm-hmm.
but for cooler heads who realize again, like, much the same way that a movie about Superman's dog isn't a surefire winner as a movie about Superman.
Yeah.
Superman's parallel universe female counterpart is also not necessarily the biggest winner.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they are actually instituting a plan for DC, which is a welcome change.
Yeah, because that franchise has not had a plan.
The biggest thing is they kind of had a plan, but they were always trying to sell themselves on the idea that, it's a connected universe, but each movie you get the flavor of the director, and that just doesn't work. Like, either let them make independent stuff like the Joker or the Batman, or you got to have it be coherent. Like, as much as you can complain about the cookie cutter nature of Marvel movies, they're coherent, they fit together, they have a feeling that where you just get like maybe maybe you get some Raimi horror in this one, or you get some or some gun, like some James Gunn pop culture comedy in this one.
Yeah, or Shakespearean melodrama in Brenna's Thor.
Right.
Yeah.
But they all still like feel of a whole.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing they're doing, I thought this was just smart, was they're going, so movies have traditionally been able to make additional money past the box office. So it's like, first you come out in the movies, then like 6 months later you come out on DVD, Blu-ray, or VHS back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Then people have to go out and buy it if they missed it in the movies and they want to see it.
Yes.
And then you wait a little bit, and then it goes on to like cable, and then it goes on to broadcast TV, or it goes on to Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
And every step of the way, the Hollywood studio, every step of the way, the Hollywood studio is making another chunk of money.
Mm-hmm.
But if you put it out on streaming the same day as you put it out in the theater, congratulations, you've kneecapped all of that.
Yes. Yeah, and the great experiment of that, that didn't work.
No. So it's a very encouraging thing that Zaslav was saying that he liked. Yes. Well, I'm sure the problem is that they've had plans. It's just they keep abandoning them every time something goes slightly wrong, just like Sega.
Yes.
I say that Warner Brothers is the Sega of movie studios, insofar as it's like Sega was always like, we're going to just throw every piece of hardware out there. Sega 32X, Sega CD, Saturn, Dreamcast.
Yeah.
We'll have the Sega Pico. We'll make the Sega Nomad.
Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous number of consoles to support. And we came out with a Sonic game where he was a werehog, and that didn't go well. But so we'll never address anything remotely like that again. People don't. We had Sonic 06, which had a bad, which we rushed to market too fast. It must be the very concept of having a serious Sonic game. We're never going to do that again. It's not our fault. It's the fault of the idea that our stupid creatives had. So we have to rein them in.
Yes.
Yeah, and Assassin's Creed, it's like, let's turn a very specific sci-fi series into an annualized game series, because why not? Like, never mind that we have to have like we have to come up with a different historical thing every single time.
Mm-hmm. Jeez. Oh man.
So now they're being smart about it. It's like, okay, if it like he was even saying, there's narrative out there that nobody under a certain age watches broadcast TV, but that isn't true. Like, I don't personally, but a lot of people still do.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like he was saying, if it makes sense to put something out on, if it makes sense to put it in theaters, we put it in theaters. If we budget it low, we can put it on HBO Max, or we can put it on our cable channels, because they own a lot of cable channels now.
Mm-hmm.
They can sell it internationally. Hey, if you have some streaming service in Zimbabwe that wants to rent Friends, let them rent Friends. You aren't competing with them as HBO Max in Zimbabwe.
Yeah.
I make up Zimbabwe, but like apparently that's where a lot of those CW shows made up their money, was African cable, of all things.
Huh?
So I like this approach. It basically I like it when people have options, and I like it when movies that are enjoyable can be enjoyed by many people in many ways.
Hmm.
There's also talks of long term just having a free tier HBO Max or HBO Max Discovery,
That
just
wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah,
with lots and lots of ads.
yeah. It would have a lot of ads in it, but yeah,
Yeah, ads are good money.
yeah,
I've been watching Tubi, and those ads aren't obnoxious. They don't overload it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It can, yeah, it can work. Yeah, like you said, if they don't overload it with ads. Yeah,
Yeah, and I will say that on both Paramount Plus, I cheaped out and did the $5 version. And
yeah,
on
yeah.
Paramount Plus and on Tubi, I've never had any ads as annoying as my YouTube ads.
Oh yeah, God, yeah. YouTube ads are terrible.
Yeah, like I swear at the point of those YouTube ads is to drive you into paying for a premium subscription, and I let mine lapse because I realized I was spending too much time on YouTube, and I swear that they brought me a new terrible tier of ads just to try to to bring me back kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get you $13.
Yes. Well, yeah, yeah. We'll get your $13, and if you won't pay us, we're gonna show you these ads of oh God,
Stacey Abrams again,
Stacey Abrams. Yeah, yeah. Here's Chuck Schumer.
talking about those wascally Senate Republicans.
Yes.
Like I'm trying to watch a stupid VTuber clip video. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Oh, you remember you remember all the when Bloomberg had all those ads on
God.
on YouTube? Good God.
Yeah, I have heard the conspiracy theory that he didn't enter the race intending to be a viable candidate. He entered the race so he could spend an unlimited amount of money bashing his orange man at the time.
Man.
Because if you're a candidate, you can spend as much money as you like because it's your money into your campaign. But if he was like propping up someone else, he would be limited and have to go through a PAC or something.
Right. Yeah.
If true, it was a good plan.
Yes. Yes. If true. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so I expect to see more heads roll at DC, and also they're turning DC into a separate-ish studio, the same way that Marvel is, so that they can do other things in Warner Brothers and not be affected by whatever nonsense is happening over there.
Which is a good idea. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So basically, it's the sensible ideas that should have happened back in 2016 when Batman v Superman underperformed.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, it took them, yeah, what, 6 years to figure that out.
Yeah. Ninja. I was doing YouTube Red too. I just decided I needed to rein in my time spent on YouTube, and that was a way to make it less pleasant.
Hmm.
So the ads were the annoying ads are a feature, not a bug this time.
Yes.
But so yeah, that's our kind of summary of what we found out today at the shareholder phone call. So I am actually rather optimistic about the future of the new Warner Brothers at this point.
Yes, I am too. I think, yeah, it sounds like Zaslav is, yeah, like you said, he's reining in a lot of this stuff, and he's, you know, getting rid of, as you say, some heads of roll are rolling, and it would probably continue to be so. And if I were Bob Chapek, I'd be taking notes.
Yeah, it's funny about Bob Chapek. Unfortunately, that's the one downside of DC becoming a more autonomous studio within Warner Brothers is that part of the reason that Chapek can't go in there with his axe and start chopping people down the same way that Zaslav has been is that first off, Zaslav was the acquirer in a merger acquisition, so it's assumed that you're going to do more rough stuff. But also, those studio heads like Kathleen Kennedy and Kevin Feige have a lot more autonomy. It's like he can step in if things are bad, but he's not going to do it on every project the same way that Zaslav might.
Yeah. Okay.
So his hands are a bit more tied. Also, it sounds like people at what I've heard is that like people at Marvel are or not Marvel, people at Disney are like true believers and are trying to actually put hidden agendas in things. People at WB are just blithering incompetence.
I'm not sure which one's worse.
Blithering incompetency is easier to root out because they're blithering incompetence. You'll find them out.
Yeah, that's true. Yes.
But
they're easier to spot. Yeah.
But yeah, it's it's an interesting time. A lot of negative trends in entertainment that we've been observing since we started this new direction of our show seem to be finally turning the corner. So yeah, I look forward to having some actually quality stuff. And Ninja Toe gives one last comment here: incompetence is more hilarious. That's true. That's true. Like the Disney, like say the average Marvel movie lately has been kind of blandly competent and just kind of irritating. Where like Aquaman, I came out of the movie theater saying I have never had more fun having my intelligence insulted for an hour and a half. I think there were even lines that implied a extreme young Earth creationism where the Earth was hundreds of years old or something like that.
Yeah,
I have to watch it again.
Yeah, yeah. I'm kind of the same way with Aquaman. Like I couldn't tell you what it was about. I think they were looking for the tridents.
They needed his mom's trident.
His mom's trident.
His mom in Jurassic Park.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Nicole Kidman was his mom, and then Boba Fett was his dad. Yeah.
So often we end this show like kind of there's pop culture news. No, this is exciting and interesting.
Yes, we're actually very positive.
Yep.
which is always good. All right. Well, that's all the time we have for tonight. Thank you everybody for watching. We really do appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe if you haven't already.
Hit the bell for notification.
Hit the bell for notifications, and yeah. No dead parents in a super. Yeah.
I'm okay with the parents being dead in the past, but yeah, we don't need to see that scene in the alleyway again.
Yeah. Yes. It's been done.
If you want a good parody of that, look up on YouTube Parappa the Rappa Batman, and there's some amusing memes about that. This is where my parents died. Whoa, this is where your parents died?
All right. Well, yeah. But yes. Once again, thank you everybody for watching, and we will see you all next week. Good night.
Yes, indeed. Good night.
The life of a spy isn't as glamorous as I thought. But it isn't dull.